The story opens in a quiet suburban neighborhood, bathed in the pale blue light of early dawn. The air is crisp, carrying the faint scent of dew on freshly cut grass. Houses line the street in neat rows, their windows still dark, their inhabitants asleep. The world feels peaceful, ordinary, a place where nothing bad should ever happen. Tommy, a 12-year-old paperboy with a mop of unruly hair and a well-worn bicycle, steps out of his house, his breath forming little clouds in the chilly air. His mother, still in her robe, lingers in the doorway, her voice soft but firm as she reminds him to be careful. He nods, flashing her a quick, reassuring smile before swinging his leg over his bike. The canvas bag slung across his shoulder is heavy with rolled-up newspapers, each one waiting to be delivered to its rightful doorstep. As he pedals down the street, the rhythmic click-click of his bike chain fills the silence. He hums an off-key tune under his breath, his mind already drifting to the school day ahead or the baseball game he'll play with his friends that afternoon. The neighborhood is familiar, safe. He's ridden this route 100 times before. But this morning feels different. A thick fog rolls in, curling around the street lamps and swallowing the edges of the sidewalk. The world narrows to just Tommy and the faint glow of his bicycle light cutting through the haze. The usual sounds, birds chirping, the distant rumble of a milk truck, are muted, as if the fog has smothered them too. Still, he presses on. He has a job to do. The papers won't deliver themselves. And so, unaware of what awaits him, Tommy disappears into the mist. The fog clings to the streets like a second skin, muffling the world in an eerie hush. Tommy's bicycle tires crunch softly over gravel as he makes his way down Maple Street, the last few houses on his route looming ahead. His fingers are numb from the cold, but he doesn't slow down, just a few more deliveries, and he can head home for breakfast. Then he sees it. The old Victorian at the end of the block, the one the other paperboys whisper about. It's been empty for years, they say, ever since something happened there. The paint is peeling, the porch sags like a tired spine, and the windows, dark and gaping, seem to watch him as he approaches. Tommy never liked this house. He usually tosses the paper from the sidewalk, quick and careless, eager to move on. But this morning, something is different. The front door is slightly ajar. He stops his bike, the wheels skidding on the damp pavement. That door has always been sealed shut, nailed over with plywood, according to the older kids. But now, there's a sliver of darkness where it hangs open, just an inch, and from inside, a sound. Not the groan of old wood or the skitter of rats. No, this is something else. A whisper, maybe, or laughter, soft, breathless, like a child trying not to be heard. Tommy's stomach twists. He should leave. He knows he should leave. But then, another sound. A whimper, a real one, the kind that makes his skin prickle. What if someone's hurt in there? He hesitates, then drops his bike, the metal frame clattering against the pavement. The newspapers spill from his bag, fanning out across the wet sidewalk. His breath comes fast as he steps closer, hand outstretched toward the door. Hello? His voice is small, swallowed by the fog. No answer, just that silence, thick and waiting. Then, a creak, a shift in the air, and before he can turn, before he can run, the door moves, not opening wider, closing. The last thing Tommy sees is the darkness rushing toward him. Then, nothing. Morning bleeds into afternoon, and the fog lifts, revealing a neighborhood unchanged, except for one terrible absence. Tommy's mother stands at the kitchen window, her fingers gripping the edge of the sink. The clock ticks past the hour he should have returned, then the next. At first, she tells herself he must have stopped at a friend's house, that the bike had a flat tire, that he lost track of time. But by noon, when the school calls to say he never arrived, her throat tightens around a scream she doesn't yet allow herself to release. The police arrive with notepads and solemn expressions. Neighbors gather on porches, murmuring as officers walk the route Tommy should have taken. They find his bicycle first, knocked over near the curb, its front wheels still spinning lazily as if it had just fallen moments before. The newspapers are scattered, some still tightly rolled, others splayed open like wounded birds, headlines blurring in the damp. Then the whispers begin. Mrs. Henderson from across the street claims she saw Tommy pause outside the old Victorian, his body rigid, as if he'd heard something. Old Mr. Driscoll, who's always sitting on his porch at dawn, says the boy, looked back once, like someone had called his name, before stepping toward the house, but no one saw him leave. No one heard a cry. The officers shine their flashlights through the broken windows of the Victorian, their beams slicing through dusty air. Floorboards creak under their weight, but the house is empty. No signs of struggle, no fingerprints but their own. Yet, one of them stops cold at the foot of the stairs. There, in the thick layer of dust, is a single, fresh footprint. Small, the size of a child's sneaker. But when they follow it, it simply stops halfway up the steps, as if Tommy had vanished mid-stride. By nightfall, the street is lined with flashing squad cars. Tommy's mother clutches his favorite jacket to her chest, her tears silent now, her voice raw from calling his name. The neighbors retreat inside, locking doors they've never locked before. And somewhere in the dark, if you listen closely, you can almost hear it. The faint rustle of newspaper carried on a wind that isn't there. Years bleed into the neighborhood like ink into paper, fading the urgency of that morning, but never its memory. The Victorian house stands untouched, its sagging porch now cordoned off with yellow police tape that has long since frayed and faded in the sun. People still cross the street to avoid walking past it, though no one remembers why anymore. Just a vague unease that prickles their skin when they get too close. Then comes another fog-drenched morning, nearly identical to the one when Tommy vanished. A new paperboy, Danny, pedals down Maple Street, his breath visible in the cold air. He's heard the stories, of course, every kid has. But he's 15, too old for ghost tales, and besides, the route pays well. As he nears the Victorian, his fingers tighten on the handlebars. The house looks emptier than ever, its windows like hollow eyes. He grabs a paper from his bag, aims, and freezes. There's a boy standing on the porch. Danny's breath catches. The boy is small, pale, dressed in clothes that look both familiar and strangely out of place. A red windbreaker, sneakers caked in mud from decades past. He's holding a newspaper, its edges yellowed with age, and his eyes are fixed on Danny with an intensity that pins him in place. For a heartbeat, neither moves. Then the boy lifts the newspaper slightly, as if offering it. "I never finish my deliveries," he whispers, his voice like dry leaves scraping pavement. Danny doesn't wait to hear more. He pedals backward so fast his bike nearly topples, then spins and flees, the newspapers spilling from his bag in his wake. He doesn't stop until he's 3 blocks away, his lungs burning, his hands shaking. When he finally looks back, the street is empty. But the next morning, when Mrs. Henderson steps onto her porch, she finds something waiting for her. A single crumbling newspaper, dated the day Tommy disappeared. The ink is fresh, as if it were printed yesterday, and at the very top, smudged in the corner, is a tiny child-sized fingerprint. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next one. Bye for now.